Alright, anytime you're attacking a machine, you're going to want to do a port scan and get that information. Um, if you, usually the way of doing this is NMAP. If you want to do a basic NMAP, you could just NMAP, put the IP address, and let it run. And that will run with all the defaults. It will scan the, I believe, 100 or 1000 most common ports and return basically just which ports are open. I add several options to my scan to get back as much information as possible. And I think it's good practice because, especially in a CTF or hacking labs, there's always a chance you'll miss something. Either a service is hidden on an uncommon port like 55,000, or it's just not one of the things that's normally scanned by default. So I try and capture everything. So the usual command I will run is nmap-A, and nmap commands are case sensitive, so case sensitivity matters when you're adding these. And A is going to do service OS detection, if possible, service version information, so it's going to actually not just tell you if the port's open, but it's going to query it and get whatever kind of information it can about that port, and a couple other things. So -A will get you a lot more information. And then I add -P-. So -P is how you identify if you want NMAP to just scrape specific ports. So I could do -P 80 if I just wanted to scan port 80, or I could do 8443 if I just wanted to scan those two ports. But if you do -P-, it will scan all ports, which the reason this is important and why you want to make sure you're capturing all of them and ensuring nothing is hidden. There are 65,535 total ports that exist on any given IP address. So the chances of something being on one of those other ports can be pretty high. So -P- is going to scan all ports. This is going to make your scan take a lot longer. Much longer, because if you think of 1,000 versus 65,000, it's going to take some time. And then for each port it finds, it's going to run all the scripts associated with -A. So this will take longer, but it will cover all the bases, and it will make sure that you're capturing everything you need to. Next thing I add here is -T4. And T4 is basically how fast the scan is going to run. It runs on a scale from T1 to T5, T1 being the slowest, and it's painfully slow, T5 being the fastest. T3 is what it runs by default, but I like to do T4, especially when scanning all ports, because that time difference is going to be substantial between 3 and 4. The reason you don't do 5 is because it is so fast, it can often, on occasion, miss ports. Or the worst part, because it's running so fast, is it has potential to crash a machine. So it's a very bad idea to use T5 on CTFs, but also just in the wild. If you're doing a real pen test, it's very noisy. It will throw off any triggers that exist that you're running a scan, and it can crash services, so it can be pretty dangerous. T4 is generally as high as you want to go, and it's pretty quick. And then the last thing I do is -V. That's for verbose. That means if I were to run this without V, it's just going to initiate, and then it's just going to sit there blank until it finishes maybe 5 to 10 minutes later. If I do -V, it's going to update me anytime a new port is found, and it's just going to offer feedback as the scan goes, so it could be helpful. If I were to run it just like this, it would just output directly to my window. Another thing you can do is a little right bracket, and this says output basically, and so I could output it to scan.txt if I wanted this scan to run and then output to a text file so I have it later and it doesn't get lost in my terminal window, but I'm not going to do that right now. So those are basically all of the And I am not on VPN. Whoops. Let's try this one more time. There it goes. And now the port starts showing up. And granted, if I didn't have that TAC V right here, none of this would show up. You would basically see this, and then it would sit like that for 20 minutes. So yeah. So at least now I know while this scan is going, if I want to start doing work, I know that there's an FTP port open, I know there's the SSH port open, and I know it's running a web server. So I could begin my work while this finishes.